Yes, everyone, good morning. Welcome back to Forever United TV. All your Manchester United news from on and off the pitch jammed into one morning show, getting you ready for your day, getting you kick-started so you're in the know with everything that's going on and what's coming up also today. We're going to be talking Rasmus Hojlund at the top of the show and an interesting development last night brought to you by Fabrizio Romano. We'll bring you that piece as well on what Romano said. A twist in the Jadon Sancho saga, which wasn't expected, and it came from the news last night of ENQUIRIES and that massive U-turn, which you all seen, I'm sure, unless you were living under a rock, that happened last night. All of that alongside all of the Manchester United updates and everything else going on with the club. Can the Glazers now sell from underneath Ineos? Yes, they can, but will they? That's a different story altogether. All of the business news creeping into the show a little bit today as well. But we want the transfer news. We want what's happening at Manchester United, and we want to know exactly how much we can get for our players. We're going to get into that first of all this morning, starting with Rasmus Hojlund. Of course, yesterday we seen the news that AC Milan dropped out of the race for Rasmus Hojlund because Manchester United and the player were demanding a permanent part of the deal to kick in at the end of the season. So loan with obligation, not loan with option for Rasmus Hojlund. AC Milan have already moved on and brought in Victor Boniface, confirmed by Fabrizio Romano. So AC Milan out. No chance of the signing of Rasmus Hojlund when that looked like the only option for him. And then all of a sudden, bang, we got the update from Fabrizio Romano regarding Manchester United's Rasmus Hojlund and a potential move away from the football club. This is what Romano said last night on his channel about what happened yesterday with Rasmus Hojlund.
We also wait this summer, in these final days, for Rasmus Hojlund today after Milan. But Milan spoke to the agent of Hojlund again this morning, but then they reached an agreement with Bayer Leverkusen for Victor Boniface, club to club, waiting on player side. Well, while Milan work on Boniface, Napoli called Manchester United again for Rasmus Hojlund. They already did a few days ago after Romelu Lukaku injury, as I told you. Napoli asked again for Rasmus Hojlund. They also spoke to the agents of the player, but I can tell you, the Rasmus Hojlund is telling Leipzig, Napoli, Milan, all the clubs interested, that his favorite opportunity would be to go on loan with obligation to buy. He didn't want to leave Man United, we know that, I told you. But if he has to leave, he doesn't want them to return in 1 year and to be in the same situation of players like Sancho or others. He wants to go and cut this thing if it's the only way. He really wanted to stay at United, Rasmus Hojlund. He really wanted to stay. But if it's not possible, he prefers a loan with obligation and not a loan with option. This was the message to Napoli. This was the message to Milan and all the other clubs, because Hojlund wants to feel confidence. Doesn't want to feel like a player who will go back then to Man United.
As always, making it clear, Rasmus wants the permanent move. He doesn't want to go back to Manchester United and be exiled like the likes of Sancho, Garnacho, Rashford and players like this. He has been there, let's not forget, firsthand to see the complete capitulation of Manchester United behind the scenes, Rasmus Hojlund. So Romano making it clear there. And you know what? It's sensible, and I've said this all along, haven't we? Well done, Rasmus Hojlund, for wanting to make this the way it is. He doesn't feel like he warrants the treatment that the other players have got. And I agree with him. And I think every single Manchester United fan would agree that Rasmus Hojlund has not been a problem at this football club like the other so-called named bomb squad players anyway. But also in that piece there, you heard what Romano was saying regarding the deal with Napoli at the moment. There are other sources now going into this, into the detail of what was said and what's happening with Napoli and Rasmus Hojlund. And that is that at the moment, as it stands, Napoli are advancing with talks in a 5 million loan fee up front with a 45 million option to buy Rasmus Hojlund at the end of the season. The worry and the concern is, and Romano made this point there as well, that Manchester United want to make this a permanent deal. So any loan deal has to have the obligation to buy at the end. Whether or not that option becomes permanent and the price has to come down because it's permanent to make this sweeter, this is what Manchester United are now pushing forward. And Rasmus Hojlund has told United and Napoli, he's made it very clear that he wants a permanent fixture away from Manchester United. He's not coming back. He wants out of the football club completely and wants them guarantees put into this deal. So 45 plus the 5 loan fee adds up to €50 million, approximately £43 million for Rasmus Hojlund, is near enough the book value of the player this season. That book value could rise next season also. So Manchester United are aware of the option to obviously sell Rasmus Hojlund rather than the permanent, because they know that Rasmus Hojlund has got clout in Italy and has performed the best that he has in his career in Italy, pretty much, which brought him onto the scene. That's why Manchester United brought him in the first place. So Manchester United looking into this deal and are probably more open to a loan option. Like, the whole push from the permanent side of things is Rasmus Hojlund because of reasons that Romano's just described, which are that he doesn't want to become one of these exile players coming back and can't train with the first team squad. I don't necessarily think that would happen under Ruben Amorim. I don't think Ruben's got an issue with Rasmus Hojlund, unless there is something that we may find out about if a deal happens that happened behind the scenes. I don't think we'll find out about anything that happened until Rasmus moves, but I just don't see Ruben Amorim exiling Rasmus Hojlund like he would the other players. He's not being an issue. He trains, he turns up on time, which is a big thing apparently, and he has always been available and wanted to work hard and be part of the squad. And Ruben always said, and we've known what Ruben has said from the get-go since he walked through the door at Old Trafford, which is, if these players train and work hard and give me absolutely everything, he will defend them to the end. And Rasmus Hojlund falls into that category, unless something has happened. And I'm not scaremongering, I'm not trying to stir the pot here or anything like that. I hope it hasn't, because the last thing we could afford right now is another player that is having issues behind the scenes or has had a fallout with Ruben Amorim, because like this deal says, it's not done. And if we get to the end of the window, 11 days to go, and Rasmus doesn't go, then we've got another problem inside Manchester United, an upset player that could be affecting, in fact, will be affecting everybody else, because we know one bad egg turns the whole pot. It turns the whole pot around, doesn't it? It only takes that tiny little bit of negativity, and for that to be mixed in amongst everything that's going on at Manchester United right now. And like, everybody's reported the same thing. The camaraderie, the atmosphere, the environment, and everything around, the vibe around Manchester United is the best it's been for years. Bomb squad, Rasmus not being sold changes everything. Because like Ruben said, he cannot really, he could exile players forever and a day, but even at the height of the Marcus Rashford nightmare, he still had to integrate Marcus Rashford back into training sessions and sometimes even into a matchday squad as an unused substitute. A miserable face sat on the bench talking to teammates or in and amongst it at training is going to be a nightmare for Manchester United. So I think the player has seen this. The player has made this difficult for Manchester United, because obviously, you've only got one option now, which is the permanent fixture, which is the permanent sale of Rasmus Hojlund after the loan. I think Manchester United have to lower the price of the obligation. 45 million euros as an option, that's easier because you don't have to take it. And it looks sweet on the paper that they're actually looking at that, and everything looks great, but no one ever takes the option. No one ever takes the option, do they? A loan is a loan for a reason. It's the last days of the transfer window, and that player is going to that club because he's not wanted and nobody else on the market has taken up the opportunity of buying him. So right now, last 2 weeks, Napoli are not taking the option. Napoli are being forced into a corner here and don't want to spend a lot of money. Therefore, Manchester United are going to have to lower that obligation price from what it was with the option, I feel, anyway, because they're not going to spend £43 million on Rasmus Hojlund. I just don't see that happening. Yes, you could say that it's split, and obviously they're paying some of that fee, 30 plus million of it, at the end of the season, and that's easily affordable for them. They might not want him. They might have other options. Romelu Lukaku is coming back after 3 months. This is an emergency loan for Napoli. So if there is going to be any permanent deal, it's going to have to be a cut price one. And at the moment, stats, I think, is around, and it sounds bad this, I reckon Manchester United, if they want to get rid of Rasmus Hojlund this summer, they're going to have to make this deal £30 million. 25 million at the end of the season with a 5 million loan fee or something like that up front, because I just don't see Napoli going for this. I hope I am wrong, but just going off the numbers and what's happened and what the Athletic have reported about Manchester United willing to accept a lower fee for Rasmus, I just feel like they want him out. And again, I don't want to make this sound like he's been a problem, but why all of a sudden the desperate need to move Rasmus on when we know squad rotation could play a big part this season? And I cannot help but feel that there is more of a problem behind the scenes with Rasmus Hojlund. Otherwise, what's changed in the space of 3 weeks from finishing that tour and Rasmus obviously doing well in that Bournemouth game? and not being picked then for the Everton game, not being picked for Fiorentina and out of the squad completely for the opening day against Arsenal, that doesn't sound like somebody who's working hard, who's happy to work for Ruben Amorim and Amorim himself is happy with. It sounds like there's a problem, and United cannot afford to mount another problem onto the rest of what's already there, because that's what's happening at the moment. Rasmus, if he does not leave, and the word yesterday, and we've seen it from Sky, they were saying that Ruben Amorim has not ruled out Rasmus Hojlund staying at Manchester United still. I don't know if it's going to make a difference to players coming in for Manchester United. I don't know if the money's going to be enough to bring in another player. We've got Agomeour coming in, which with news last night as well, which we're going to touch on in the show this morning again on an update on him. Is it necessarily like one player out and one player in? Is this what United are thinking? I don't think it is with Rasmus Hojlund. I really don't. I think something has happened behind the scenes. And again, I'm only going off what's happened and what's in front of us all and what's factual. He went from playing well against Bournemouth and Ruben coming out and saying he's doing well, he's scoring goals. That's more important for Rasmus Hojlund than anything else. We haven't even had Sesko at this point. He's gone from that to disappearing off the face of the planet and just not featuring whatsoever. To not even come on in a friendly when you can use so many substitutes, that says something. And out of the squad, when you've only got one natural number 9, and you're forcing Joshua Zirkzee, who isn't a natural number 9, into his place on the bench, there just looks to be a problem. And you can only read what's out there. You can only look at what's happening. And for me, that spells trouble for Manchester United. I think the price has to come down. They're going to have to accept a lower fee. And I think this might happen with the other players as well. Like we said in many shows now going past, like we want these players to suffer. We want to stand our ground with this. But it is one of them, isn't it? You need the money. If you are really looking for a midfielder and a goalkeeper from now to the end of the season, all anybody cares about is what players are coming in. Players leaving falls into insignificance completely if them players are not featuring at all. All anybody cares about is what's happening with the squad right now. If Ruben's going to move forward with this team, it's about players coming in and what he's already got in that squad. Try and just let the bomb squad go. Can United accept the loss? That's the point we're trying to make, I think, here with Manchester United and the stance on Rasmus Hojlund, in that they're going to have to, I think. They're going to have to accept that Ruben's more important. The team and what's happening right now and getting up that table is more important than anything. And if Rasmus stays, if any of these bomb squad players stay, then we have got a huge problem going into the season with Ruben Amorim. I just don't know if it's going to work for him. And I think this is going to really hamper him if they can't get this deal over the line. Let's get into the comment section and let's see what everybody's saying right now. Welcome along, everybody. Please get your comments in and let me know how you're feeling about this. Please pop a like on the video if you're loving the content as well. This week, we have got a lot of content coming up this weekend, everybody, on our sister channel, Football Talks, as well. We're starting on Friday with the Chelsea and West Ham watch-along, so please do join us for that as well this week. If you haven't already subscribed to that channel, hit the subscribe button here on Forever United TV as well if you haven't. Let's get into what everybody's thinking right now. Whose fault is it if Hojlund has become a problem? We need a second striker. I think Amorim has to face some questions about how he handles players. It's an interesting point from Andrew there, actually. I think, when does it become a point when we actually start looking at Ruben Amorim on some of these situations right now? Look, I'm right behind Ruben, as everybody knows. I think he has to be hard-handed this summer. And again, he will be the victim if this doesn't happen. If Ineos do not back him in moving these players on, Ruben is going to, like Andrew says there, have to answer the questions as to why so many players are being isolated right now and are not being used. Like, I love the hard hand. I love the fact that we are going cutthroat, ruthlessness mode all through this summer. I love the way that we've done business. You all know I've been really happy with the window. But if you cannot finish the job, then everything that's been done before can be completely undone. Like, I'm not saying that these characters of the players that have come in are going to be put off by these bad eggs coming back into the team and into first team training, but it's not going to help. And Ruben still has to deal with them players. And if he hasn't got a fully cohesive and everybody on it squad training hard and working together to the same goal, it's gonna fail. And Ruben, like Andrew says there, Is he handling it the right way? Could he do more? We do need another striker. I don't rate Rasmus Hojlund as a number one, but I think we've all said all the way through the summer, myself included, that we would all be happy if Rasmus Hojlund was still there as a number two. Why is this such a desperate push to get Rasmus out and everything slowed down with the obvious idiots that we need to get out of this squad? Seems strange, doesn't it? It does. They're selling him, and is that Hojlund supposed to say? Typo, I think, creeps in there. Not buying another 9, then that is a concern. They're not going to buy another 9. Rasmus leaving doesn't mean another number 9 coming in. Manchester United are also ready to let Gabe Biancheri leave on loan as well from Manchester United's academy. That's another young prospect. We can't see Chido really creeping into the side this season with the amount of games that we've got with just domestic football as well. So again, like United's short. I actually do believe that they're thinking that Joshua Zirkzee is going to be the backup 9. I think there's going to be a lot of interchange in between. Because Zirkzee can play 9 and 10, I think you're going to get a rotation between, if Sesko isn't playing, that is, between Cunha and Mbeumo and Joshua Zirkzee. I think that's how Ruben's thinking about it. That's how I'm placing players in my head on the pitch right now anyway. So Zirkzee is ahead of Rasmus Hojlund, and I think he feels like he's got enough cover there with the way that Cunha can play 9, Zirkzee can play 9/10, and Mbeumo and Sesko being there as well. Worst case scenario, you've got Chido in there as well if need be, but I cannot see Chido making any more appearances than what he's already made for Manchester United. I don't think we're going to be getting him coming through in gluts of games throughout the season. I just don't see it. Markash says we need a second striker. We need money also. I don't believe Rasmus will be a problem if he's not to be selected. He's got to look out. He's got to look out for his career also. Could be right though, Adam, and not looked too deep. I cannot help but feel that he's gone from a boyhood Manchester United fan who isn't the best but willing to work his arse off and give absolutely everything to being exiled like that. Just something doesn't fit right with Rasmus Hojlund, and that's all I'm bringing up. I don't want to make a problem out of this, and I'm not driving a problem, I promise you. I just look at what's there, and there is an issue there for me. Active Sports says, why is Zirkzee all of a sudden not able to play up top? He'd be a class with Mbeumo and Cunha behind. I actually think I did just describe that bit then, didn't I? He just fell right into what I was saying there, Active. So, yes, on the same wavelength it seems, mates, with each other on that one. Manchester United should sell Harry Maguire, Joshua Zirkzee, Mason Mount, Manuel Ugarte, Rasmus Hojlund to AC Milan. That seems like a complete FIFA-driven dream, that one, I'm afraid. That's never going to happen, unfortunately. Well, not unfortunately, because I said some of them players people actually might want to stay at Manchester United. A couple more chats in. Let's get through this. Midfield and a keeper is what we need. We've got enough goals in the team now. I think maybe selling Rasmus, everybody else, putting all of the money into a pot would get us both of them players, one of them players in the last 11 days now. Maybe. We will see. Let's see what happens past this. 21st of August, my God. We are really counting down to the end of this window now. In fact, it's 10, isn't it? Is it 10 days? Ooh, when you get to 10 days, that's like the holiday, isn't it? It's like you go away for a week, 2 weeks, or 10 days. It's starting to get really close now. It's starting to get shorter. You know what I mean by that. Right, okay, let's get a couple of super chats in quickly before we move on to the next story. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, couple of super chats in. First one in from Manny, who says, what's changed? ? Money. United just can't sell Garnacho, Anthony and Sancho. So they are going at Rasmus. There is no issue. They realise that these unsellable players have limited their finances. But you can't get much money for Rasmus, and that's going to go on the books as a loss, mate. So that really doesn't work either, buddy. He cannot just sell Rasmus for a cheap price because we cannot sell the other players, because that's going to go as a PSR loss. No matter what we do with Rasmus, no one's going to pay the money that we want. And like I just described, they're willing to accept the loss on Rasmus. So why are they not willing to accept the loss on the other players? What's happening? That's how I see it. Ruben goes nowhere for 2 years. That's a confidence, a bold shout again, Manny. I want to agree with you on that one. I'm just not that confident. I hope it's right, though, and Ineos do stick with him and see this whole project through, because if they don't, then the questions will be asked again. They will be asked, like, from the start of bringing Ruben in and the mistake that they made. This is just going to put them in a bad light with the fans still. Kishan with the super chat, thank you, buddy. He says, these players have been a problem for years. We've all said they are not good enough, and now a manager is being ruthless. Fans are saying, look at him. It's not so much look at him, it's looking at what's changed within this process of trying to get rid of these players. You're right, Kishan. No one's questioning Ruben Amorim for moving everybody on and exiling the players. It's just what's happened with Rasmus in particular. When we know we need a backup striker, is there any harm in keeping Rasmus, and why has he moved to the top of the pecking order of players that need to be moved on when there is 5 other players behind him that we desperately need to move on? That's the only point. No one's worried or concerned about how ruthless United are being. The players are not good enough, and they've proved that last season. Rasmus isn't good enough to start for Manchester United. The only question we're asking is, why are we looking at Rasmus all of a sudden and not the others? This is the only thing. It's sort of come out the blue, hasn't it? Which is why it's brought up the questions and everything that's going on right now. Don't forget, Ruben contract ends this summer. If he has had a bad season, he will leave. No sacking, no payouts. It's the end of his contract. He has to have a good season. Well, not quite the end, because he's got a 2.5-year contract, hasn't he? So this will take him to approximately a season and a half. I think it runs out at the end of next season. So 2.5 years. This, I think, is where we're actually at right now with everything going on. Yeah, well, look, when you go back, look, it's what I mean by out of the blue, and all of a sudden it's the exile for Rasmus Hojlund, not the transfer itself. It's like the Athletic, Romano himself has been talking Rasmus Hojlund could leave all summer. It started at the back end of the season. Manchester United were always open to offers for Rasmus Hojlund, and this could have gone at any point, but I just think what I'm trying to make the point of is there anything going on behind the scenes right now with this? Has it got to a point where United haven't managed to get rid of players? They're desperately looking for players to move on now because they want to make 1 or 2 more signings, and Rasmus is the whipping boy, basically. He's the one that's got to go. Look, it's not like we didn't think that Rasmus wasn't good enough. He isn't good enough. We've known this from the start. He had an alright first season. He was a catastrophe last season, and he needs to go. I just didn't expect him to go second season. Sorry, after his second season. I didn't. Even though that should be the way that it works. Everybody's been very clear that Rasmus is up for sale this summer. I just don't know why he's not playing all of a sudden or featuring at all. That's the issue we've got. But Ruben has to be ruthless. Ineos have to back him with that. And if Ineos don't sell these players at a cut price because we can't get what we want, where I understand that these players have all got a price and United need to stand their ground, they have got to be integrated back in. Nightmare. That alone is enough for me to lose confidence in what's going to happen this season, because I just don't see these players turning it around. I'm confident that they will go. Look, the main 2 players that need to leave Manchester United out of everybody is Garnacho and Sancho. And there is talks on both of them happening. We've actually got a Sancho update coming next, in fact, before we move on with the other news of incomings. But I'm just trying to make the point that it's changed quickly. And I don't want the focus to be on Rasmus more than the other absolute cretins that are destroying and dragging this team and this squad and club down. And you know who I mean by them players. Rasmus is not a problem off the pitch. The others are. And this is going to be worse. Anyway, a couple more chats coming in. Big super chat in from Red Devil Germany. Thank you very much, mates. Who would ask such questions? Why are we not using players like Rashford and Sancho? Question mark. He will use Manu in the future, and I think Ruben dropped Hojlund to force him out and get some money to reinvest. Yeah, no, that's normal. It's just the fact that he has gone ahead of everything else, which is more important, which is a problem. Rasmus needs to be sold. I get it. I do get it. If he's not going to play, he needs to be sold. And Ruben has made his mind up in the middle of pre-season, all of a sudden. But again, is it now looking like we've got a player that isn't wanted, and therefore nobody's going to give us what we want. You get what I'm saying, don't you? You know where I'm going with it. It's like all of a sudden, have we just put Rasmus Hojlund in the category with the other bomb squad players because he's just not featuring? When you're being left out of a matchday squad when you're fully fit, it looks like a problem from the outside. That's all I'm saying. I just don't get why it's just gone from there to there. Maybe Rasmus kicked up a stink and Ruben's teaching him a lesson. We just don't know. But I hope there isn't an issue behind the scenes because we could ill afford it right now. But it does look like there is one. And Ruben's acting accordingly. I haven't got a problem with what Ruben's doing, by the way. I haven't. I've said this all along. I'm just interested as to having another issue, which worries me as a fan, alongside all of the other problems. I just don't want it. I want the window to be over. We're playing football and all of these players have left. And we've got a couple more players in. We will see what happens with that one. When we're looking now, let's have a quick check into everything. No, in fact, let's go into the Jadon Sancho situation. Now, you wouldn't have seen anything, but looking at everything that happened last night, there is an interesting subplot to the Eberechi Eze transfer to Arsenal. Now, obviously, last night, Arsenal gazumped Spurs. Spurs, honestly, wow. I think we've got problems with what's happening. Spurs lose out on Eze. Eze now, obviously, heading to Arsenal, confirmed last night. Big move for them. They lose a striker and they sign a winger. Typical Mikel Arteta. God knows what goes through that man's head. But now that Eze has gone to Arsenal, Spurs have a look. Spurs are looking elsewhere. Now, we know that Savinho is available for Manchester City at a ridiculous price. I mean, God's sake, no one's going to pay 80 million for Savinho. I mean, come on. Seriously, that cannot happen. Anyway, looking at that, I don't see Spurs getting him from Manchester City. They don't want to sell him. But one player that is available is Agomeour Lookman from Atalanta. Now, the only reason I'm talking about this is because Inter Milan have got Agomeour Lookman as their top target. And if they don't sell him, it has been made very clear that they would then pivot and go for Jadon Sancho. And this is why Sancho is waiting. Like we said, transfer news comes to the media and comes to us a couple of days after it really happens. And I feel like right now we're in a position where Sancho and his representatives know that there's other clubs that may just come in for him because they haven't got their targets. This could be one of them moments where Inter Milan come back in for Jadon Sancho, or not back in but come in for Jadon Sancho because they can't get Agomeour Lookman. So Inter Milan, money to burn, obviously, as well, a lot more than a lot of the other Italian clubs because of their Champions League run. Obviously, they're in the Champions League again this season, so that would appeal to Jadon Sancho. A massive football club. He cannot be turning deals down like that. Look, Roma were willing to pay his wages. So too were Juventus. Inter Milan will pay his wages if this deal comes about. And obviously, he's got Champions League football to play for as well and compete for trophies, like right up there. This is as lucky as a player can get, and this is what these agents get these players doing. We broke down the whole situation with Jadon Sancho yesterday and his agent's stance on things, and I think if Lookman does go to Spurs, which I could see happening, he has got Premier experience and he will slot in there and is a lot cheaper than what Savinho would be from Manchester City. And look, this is not happening, but we're just going off the news that obviously is going around. I'm not saying that Inter Milan are definitely in for Jadon Sancho, but they have obviously got him on their list as reports from big journalists if they don't get Lookman. Now, Lookman going to Spurs triggers potentially a move for Jadon Sancho to go to Inter Milan. And this is the craziness of the last week of the transfer window, which would end up kicking in. So Eze going to Arsenal might benefit Manchester United yet. Not in that one of our competitors has got a really good player, but Tottenham then going for Lookman, which I can see happening. I'm not saying it's going to, but I just think it is a doable deal. So keep an eye on that one. That could potentially open up avenues for Manchester United in that Inter Milan could come in for Jadon Sancho. And all of a sudden, wait until the end of the window becomes more prosperous and financially beneficial for Manchester United. And I said all along, let's wait till the end of the window, where I'm concerned and worried that we've got a stack of players that haven't moved yet, this last week is just going to completely blow the roof off the transfer window, I feel. And I think we're just going to get news constantly banging up everywhere now that we're entering. After this weekend's football, my God, next week is going to be crazy. I am going to be stuck to this seat bringing you news. I guarantee it. And it's little things like this that pop up that are actually going to make that happen, I feel. So, yeah, keep an eye on Inter Milan's situation as well. And Spurs with Lookman. Now, it's Lookman or Savinho. Let's just see. I just wanted to put that out there. I did call it a while ago in saying that Inter Milan were in for Sancho, and I think this could come around and actually, potentially happen. Like, I'm all for it. Like, I'm looking at anything. You know how I work? Looking at every tiny little detail to make something positive happen for Manchester United. But I have been looking at every single transfer and every link to any Manchester United player. And the fact that Jadon is saying no to all of these clubs, he's waiting for something to happen. And could this be it? Could this be it? Eza, here we go, by the way. He's going to Arsenal. You did miss it if you haven't been... Well, you might have fallen asleep last night, but Arsenal came in and completely gazumped the deal for Spurs. He is heading to the Gunners. It is confirmed, done, deal. Ornstein and Romano. So that opens up avenues, I feel, potentially for United getting rid of Jadon Sancho, and Inter Milan maybe coming in if Spurs go for Lookman. Bit of a domino effect situation going on there. Yes, okay. Moving on. Incomings. Let's try and cheer ourselves up a little bit. The Agomeour situation and where it stands at the moment is quite open. Like Romano last night, as we reported, came out and said he doesn't know of any other news at the moment of Manchester United going in for another midfielder past Carlos Baleba. There was a report last night that if United did go in for another one, it could scupper a deal for Baleba next summer. I can't see that because United could obviously raise money still. And we can actually get money in the bank with sales before this window closes, like we've just been discussing. But this is an update on Agomeour as well from one account which says Manchester United have Lucien Agomeour on their midfield shortlist and they continue to explore options in the market. Inquiries have already been made for the 22-year-old Seville midfielder. However, as of today, other names are currently ahead of him on the list. What's clear is that Agomeour would love to join Manchester United. Personal terms are expected to be not to be a problem at all, as the player is very open to the move. The French midfielder has a 35 million release clause in his contract, but Seville are believed to be flexible on payment terms should talks progress. One to keep an eye on in the coming days, especially if United shift focus down their shortlist, which poses the question: who is ahead of Agomeour when it comes to the midfield shortlist for Manchester United? Romano pretty much saying what this report is also saying here. They do know of him. There is actual interest in him. But how far down the line is it? This is what you've got to look at here, I think, in this transfer now for Manchester United. It's not just him. Who else is there that Man United could be looking at right now? Sky Sports were right outside the players' training at Crystal Palace yesterday. Adam Wharton and Abrizieza were both laughing and joking with Sky reporters. I'm sure you've seen the clip. I think at one point, I can't tell exactly what happened, but Adam Wharton looked like he was just pointing at the Crystal Palace badge under his training vest at one point in that video. So, not wanting to say that there is definitely nothing happening, but Wharton there, signs are this deal would have had to have been in motion way before the last 10 days of the transfer window to happen. I just don't see a world in where Crystal Palace would agree to a deal to let Adam Wharton leave with no replacement there, with a week and a bit to go in the transfer market. I just don't think it's doable for Manchester United to get Adam Wharton. And a lot of people are actually convinced that Manchester United will find a way to get through this summer because they know they're going to sign Carlos Baleba next summer. My biggest fear of that is that it doesn't work this season. Carlos Baleba isn't as keen next summer, and Manchester United missed the opportunity this summer to bring somebody else in. Like, are they fully convinced that Baleba will come to Manchester United at the end of the season? If they are, and I'm all for it. But is there any guarantee? We're not knowing, and we're guessing right now. And as the season goes on, if that midfield does cause a problem for Manchester United, then we could be licking our wounds and saying we really did drop the ball in them last few days of the transfer window and not bringing another midfielder in. I'm not saying that the players that we've got can't get better. We've not seen Mainu yet this season. Maybe he will be. Like, straight away, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. If Mainu starts against Fulham and has a good game in midfield at weekend, then transfer window closes. I'm just saying it now. For Manchester United incomings anyway, transfer window shut. Done. Mainu's the man. That's what the talk will be. In reality, obviously, it's not. But I'm telling you right now that will be the talk at the town. United beat Fulham. Mainu plays well. There's your midfielder. United don't need to buy anybody else. The plan is to have Mainu and Baleba, the future of Manchester United, and that central midfield area all sorted for years and years to come. That will be what happens, if that happens this weekend anyway. If United have a good game and Mainu in particular features and plays well. I'm stuck at the moment. I don't know. The positive from this, and you'll watch all of the tactical shows and everything and what Manchester United did. There's been a lot of praise for what happened against Arsenal. Not just because Manchester United are good and have always been competitive against the bigger clubs. We controlled the game of football. We had more passes than Arsenal, more possession than Arsenal. But one thing that a lot of people picked up on was the fact that the defence was stepping out into midfield more, which is key for the system. Somebody has to move into midfield because of Bruno. And are they brave enough to do it? Have they been drilled enough in pre-season to do this? When you've got Leacher and Lenny Yoro, who are very, very comfortable on the ball, stepping forward, that might be the plan going forward. We don't need to buy this midfielder. We've got one there that is adequate in Agate or Casemiro at times, or Mainu, just doing a job there. If we are brave enough and the wing-backs work, then the system will work without buying another midfielder in. But it's having the quality and character of player on that pitch to deal with certain moments. Systems take you so far. And then if the system doesn't work in a certain moment, i.e. tactically another manager outsmarts Ruben Amorim, you need characters to deal with the adversity. And Ruben has alluded to this several times, that we are going to suffer. The system will break down, but we have better characters in players to deal with it. And on the game, Ruben cannot coach that player. They have to realise, and the likes of Agate, that's where he worries me. I think he goes missing and his head starts to spin a little bit when things start going wrong and he panics, like he did in the game against Arsenal in just a 20-minute cameo. And so that's what I think is the problem, and it's adding someone in there who can handle the pressure when things go bad. Because if the system works, everyone looks great. But when it doesn't and you need someone to stand up, that's what United don't have. And that's the character that Man United are looking to buy, I feel. The attributes are there for everybody to do what the system wants to already in Man United. It's do they have the mentality to handle the pressure when it doesn't quite go right. That, I think, is what United are trying to buy in this summer. It's like we may not have a striker hitting it off, but Cunha could step in and do a job for us. So too Mbeumo. That's what we're looking at. Will Bruno coward away if them passes are not coming off? No, he won't. He'll keep on playing them balls. He'll keep on taking a risk. And that's what Ruben likes. It's the character within the player that he's looking for. And that's what United are buying. Look at the character and what we've got with Benjamin Sesko, Matthias Cunha, and the likes of Brian Mbeumo. Even Diego Leon to a certain degree. Their attitudes and characters and mentality are top notch. I'm not saying the other players are not, but some players just have more. And that's hard to buy. And that's where recruitment completely goes on to a different level. So, yeah, I feel like United are not keen on anybody else in midfield. I really do. And they're not going to waste money on a player that's not going to feature. So, I can understand why Agomeour will be further down Man United's list if this report is actually true. But we don't know yet. There is going to be many a twists and turns to come, I feel, yet in this transfer window. Let's get some more comments in. Get me your thoughts in, everybody, please. Let me know what you're thinking. We are over 500 likes for the show, which is epic. Love it. Please keep liking the video, everybody. Make sure that you do subscribe to the channel as well. Grab your replica retro kits and training kits. Hit that QR code on the screen there as well. Links in the description for Match Bingo. Also, a big developments with them coming on, some watch-alongs coming forward as well. We listened to you all in the chats. We put the polls out. We asked the question, do you want more watch-alongs? And the vast majority said yes. They are coming, and this weekend is going to be a very, very big one, starting on Friday night with Chelsea versus West Ham. But obviously, we're leading into Fulham against Manchester United as our big one as well. But there is more to come, everyone. Right, comments in on everything that we've spoken about there, please. Let's get into the chats. Anthony says, I won't mind Anthony remaining at the club until next season if he still stalls his move for the price that Man United want him to be sold for. Sancho's case will sort itself out next season. I think, I don't know of Anthony, because Anthony won't get in this side. I know we've got depth, but Anthony could only play in one of the 10s or at wing back. And at the moment, I'm looking at the wing back situation. You've got Ahmad and you've got Dalot. We're not going to play Anthony there. If you go on the left-hand side, where Anthony should be playing because that's his foot, you've got Dorgu, you've got Leon. And Dalot can play there as well. I don't see him getting in, so I don't see... United need to move Anthony on. They need to work something out. Obviously, it's all going to come down to United versus Betis with that one. We're waiting for the next instalment on that in terms of what's going to happen next. The saga will continue. How many sagas can you have in one window? Manchester United have had half a team worth of sagas in trying to get players out, and we're still nowhere near the final hurdle. It's crazy, isn't it? Joseph says, we did not sign Baleba this season. Man United must forget signing him next season, especially if we do not make Champions League football. Well, he's not got a problem in coming to Manchester United without Champions League football. That's already been said, so that's not really anything to worry about, Joseph. The problem is Brighton didn't want to sell him this summer. They will sell him next summer, though. And I think United already know the price of what it's going to be. They cannot expect to get too much. I think Baleba will go for 115 million. Can United finance that next summer? Probably yes, if we don't buy many other players. We spent 200 million this summer on forwards. So that's half of that. You could maybe buy Baleba and one other player next summer. I think Manchester United will be bringing Radat Vitek back into the fold in goalkeeping department next summer. So I think that's sorted. Maybe Lamens does come in this window, and then you've got your 1 and 2. I think Bainday and Anana will definitely be gone next summer. And stay tuned like that. Bainday could still be sold this summer yet. And something could happen with the goalkeeping side of things. Crazier things have happened. And we're at that stage of the window now where it's just breaking news constantly all of the time. So, like I said, I'm going to be absolutely mowed out off my feet. And I'll have you fully updated with everything. But, yeah, I think Manchester United could buy Baleba if he's one player that we're bringing in next summer. If United are happy to just bring in 1 or 2 players and not get 4 or 5 like we have done the last few windows, then this is doable. I don't think any Man United fan would have a problem with what we've done this summer in going out and getting Baleba for 100 plus million next summer. That's one of our signings. Maybe we sign one more player in a certain area. Or maybe it's another wing back. Maybe it's another centre back. And maybe it's another goalkeeper. There's no guarantee, is there, in anything right now? But I think the 4 areas of the pitch next summer will obviously be central midfield top. Then I think it will go to centre-back if Harry Maguire leaves. And then I think we'll be looking at wing-backs as well. I think that's what Manchester United will be looking at. Because let's not forget, I think Luke Shaw's only got 2 years left on his contract also at Manchester United. And I don't see United renewing that one either. So, yeah, big exodus next summer for Manchester United. Adam, the biggest issue with Rasmus and Manchester United is SEG. Yeah, you don't have to say that again, mate. I'm sure that the United board are not happy about the way Rasmus joined the football club. There's a lot to look into behind the scenes of if, buts and maybes as to why there was the fallout. Like Ten Hag, SEG, Rasmus, SEG. By all accounts, they were walking around Carrington like they own the place. And United have stamped down on this now. And a lot of players do get upset by change as well. And I think this has happened at the football club since Ineos has come in. They've stamped down on a lot of stuff. Yep, in terms of other news going on as well, you'd have seen news going around from Mike Keegan today regarding Manchester United being back up for sale again. They're not up for sale, they're on the market again. The 18-month period where the Glazers could not sell Manchester United without speaking to INEOS has passed. And so effectively, as the majority shareholders of Manchester United, the Glazers again now can sell the football club if somebody else comes in for them. Obviously, there's talk in reports of where the Qatari bid is still at and things like this. What's happening down the line? I don't know. Like, literally, there is these big plans for INEOS, obviously, for the future of the football club. If the Glazers get a nice, juicy offer in from somebody else, will they sell? I don't think they're bothered. I think they would sell. Would that benefit Manchester United? Could do. Might not. Are INEOS still going to be involved? I think so in some way. But I think INEOS have just positioned themselves in a spot right now where they are quite comfortable in what they're doing. I think they do want full takeover eventually, but at the moment, it is as it is. I don't see any change coming anytime soon. Whether Sir Jim gets into bed with the Qataris in the future, look, all of that is just up for debate completely, but it's just been brought up because today is the day that Manchester United can officially be sold again without INEOS knowing about it from the Glazers. The grace period is over, where they had to consult with INEOS first of all if they did want to sell. That's done, and now it's all open again. But the relationship between the Glazers and INEOS, I don't think is in any position where we're needing to think that there is going to be someone else come in. Unless someone comes in with an astronomical amount of money and blows them both out the water and they can't refuse it. Let's be honest. Why didn't that happen in the first place when it was cheaper? It's not going to happen again. Deal with the fact that we've got the Glazers and INEOS, and that is probably going to be the way going forward for the considerable, for the foreseeable future anyway. Leon with Match Bingos in the chat spent an extra 50 mil and gets Bellingham. Okay, now, yeah, Leon is playing FIFA on that one there. Not happening, mate, I'm afraid. Nice joke, though. No Champions League next year equals not funds for transfers. Get number one goalkeeper, says Andreas. Well, we do, because Harry Maguire, Casemiro, £30 million in wages. Obviously, next summer as well, you've got the triggered deals. You've got at least Anthony will definitely be gone if he doesn't go this summer. Rasmus Hojlund will be gone if he's definitely not gone this summer. Marcus Rashford as well. Manchester United will have money next summer. They will. And like we said before, if United do move up the table, even to 5th place, that's an extra 30 to 40 million in prize funds from the Premier League from this season alone, which count as the 45 million that we won in the Europa League from this season as well. There's loads of ways Manchester United can make money. They will be able to buy players next summer if we don't make the Champions League. I do think that United should be confident, from what I've seen so far with other clubs and now they've strengthened, they should be confident of making top 5. They should be getting a 5th place, I think, United this season. I don't think there is anything to make them fear not getting that spot. I've not seen enough. Over 600 likes. Keep them likes coming in, everybody, as we head into the end of the show. Please do make sure that you hit that subscribe button as well. Don't forget, we are going to be doing replica shirt giveaways on 98,000, 99,000, and then 100,000. They're going to keep on going up and up and up as we hit them landmarks. So it's important that we get people in, subscribing, and we can do the giveaway. So please do hit the subscribe button as well. And thank you again if you have done already. Absolutely loving the support right now. And yeah, like I said before at the top of the show, we are transforming things a little bit. We're changing up like the watch along, the match day content. We are doing a lot more. Last night we did our calling show with Big Up as well. That is going to move onto a after-match call-in show also this season. So we're going to be doing watch-alongs. We're going to be doing call-ins after that. Obviously, there's still going to be the match reaction videos no matter what. There's a few changes coming in, but I think it's going to bring in a lot more of the audience into the action this season as well. And I'm really looking forward to getting a lot more people involved on match days as well. So please do make sure that you are there on match day, because you're going to get your opportunity to have your say as well, which is, I think, massively important, particularly after a game. Everybody is really keen on what's happening with with Manchester United on a match day, and everyone wants to have their say. So let's do a proper fan calling after the games on match days. I think that is crucial for all fans to have their say, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to give you the opportunity to do that. But for this morning, that pretty much sums up our show, everybody. We have covered all angles. I'm expecting more news to come out through the day, which I'll have covered. Obviously, we do videos at the midday if there is anything significant. We'll be back later on this evening, of course, as well. In fact, this evening show is going to be earlier because I have a big game with the girls against Oldham Athletic tonight. So the afternoon show is probably going to be in and around the 4:30 sort of time today, everyone. 4:30, 5 o'clock-ish. I'll update you anyway as the day goes on. So, yes, that's what we're going to be looking at for today, everybody. But I'll keep you posted on when we're doing everything. And then we'll move on from there, everyone. So, for now, that is us all wrapped up. Cheers, everyone. Hit that like button on the way out. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well.